Hi, my name is Amanda Ray. If you are new here, I escaped a cult I was born into at around 17, 18 years old. If you want more information on that, I'll leave the links to those videos down below. But today we have Gerald. So the previous videos we just did with Gerald, and we have some more information that we just want to cover while we're together because I'm not in Utah all the time. But it was, did you go forward on women in the order? And I'm going to explain this. Going forward on a woman in the order is presenting yourself as a choice for marriage. So there's a huge process in getting married in the cult that we came from. You have to first get direction on the woman that the Lord wants you to marry. You have to get approval from your parents and the leader, and then you're allowed to go forward on the woman and present yourself as a choice for marriage. So did you do that in the order?
Yes.
How old were you?
All the ages. I don't remember. I did it like 5 times. I remember having direction at 14.
Oh, okay. So you had a dream, and then you told your parents?
Yeah. And I mean, do we just tell the dream, or how do we?
I kind of want to know, yeah. What was the dream? If you're okay with sharing that.
Well, hello everyone again. Sorry.
Yeah, this is Gerald.
So
you're 14.
14. I have a dream. My dream. So first of all, they always tell you you're gonna have a dream of who you're supposed to marry, and that was like the main way of knowing, right? Mm-hmm. Was there another way that you?
Premonition from the Lord. My dad would give us he gave Rachel a list of her options because he had maybe direction that one of those could be her options. So sometimes you can basically be coerced.
Oh, okay.
But as men, I'm sure it's different.
I always was just and I didn't really get dreams, and I was always just man, I need a direction. God, who is it that I'm supposed to be with?
Because you're taught from such a young age that you should be trying really hard to get married, and that's your sole
place
purpose.
In the order. Mm-hmm. Without that.
So at 14, you were like, who am I supposed to marry? I'm getting older.
I never have dreams. So then I had a dream. In the dream, then I was just, somehow I was a little kid, even littler than 14. I was just like a toddler. And in the dream, it was at the old church building, really old church before standard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my mom was on the stage with this other lady, and she said, "My oldest son will marry your youngest daughter." And I was such a little kid in the dream, and I was just like, "Who is it? Who was up there?" And I finally get up there, and I see I see the mom of the person. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to marry that person's. And then later I had other dreams that kind of, but it's is it your subconscious at a certain point?
Mm-hmm. And especially because you were praying so hard to just get an answer, so your mind's finally giving you an answer, right?
Right. And you're just okay, so that now I have a direction that I'm supposed to go. Mm-hmm. So when I got older and she got older, I was just okay, maybe it's time to go forward. I don't want to, I guess I did it right before she was 18 because I knew if I didn't, I didn't want to get married. I was I don't want to do it, but if it's what God wants, then okay.
Yeah. So you prolonged it.
I was just even when I went forward to her, I'm if you pick me, can we do a 6-month engagement? Which is way unheard of.
It's rare. Cammie had to push to do that. My older sister Cammie had a 6-month long one, and she had to have the excuse of my mom was pregnant, so she wanted her to not be pregnant at the wedding. So, but they wouldn't have let her do it otherwise. So you didn't really want to, but you were feeling this is your duty to go forward. So the process was you told your parents, mm-hmm. And then what?
Then you tell the leader, and then if the leader says it's okay, you tell her parents, and then if they say it's okay, you speak to her about, I am a choice. You tell them your direction, and then you just kind of go about your life until
they decide.
Yeah, and I was taught it was girl's choice, and so even though I didn't want to marry her, it was her choice. That's what I was taught.
That's a weird perception because I always felt it was not my choice when I had guys that wanted to marry me. It was I had to go to dinner with my cousin even though I didn't want to marry them. Did you guys go out to eat or did you go to her house?
I just went to her house.
Oh, okay.
I met with her parents, both of them, her mom and her dad, and then with their permission, I spoke to her.
Wow. Was it, because this is technically the Order's version of your first date.
Yeah,
Right?
but she knew it was coming. Because,
Okay.
like, you know, kids talk and, like,
Yeah.
they're like, who did you have direction on? And then it gets back to them.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. So then that doesn't work out, obviously.
Right.
So then what?
So, well, she actually basically says, she almost says yes, but she says she has to talk to the leader. And if the leader says yes, then it's yes.
Okay. Did she get married then to someone else?
Shortly after.
Really?
She was very attractive, and it turns out that when they're attractive, they tend to marry into Paul's family, whether it be him or his kids.
Paul's sons just seem to have the most direction on the most attractive women. It's
Well, it was
crazy.
interesting too because he came forward the weekend she was supposed to give me an answer.
Wow.
His son,
interesting.
that she has to go ask the leader if she can marry me, and then his son, how convenient.
Yeah. It's like, it's so weird how it all works out. Even when I was there, I was like, Mom, do you ever notice how it's weird how all the ugly girls are like fourth and fifth wives and they're like older getting married? She's like, it's direction, Amanda. Like, we would joke about it because she even knew. There was this guy in the order that would say, and this is so like gross, but it's true, my direction is my erection. And I think that's
I
how most
remember
of
that
them
too.
are.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Shanell made that joke all the time.
Also, I heard a lot of the direction dreams that guys were having were really just wet dreams.
Ew.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, of course they're gonna be having those kind
So
of
God's
dreams.
directing your like orgasm.
I guess.
Okay.
It's supposed to go here.
Okay, so when this one's out of the way, so now you go on to having direction on the next one? Is that how it worked?
Well, honestly, thought I was done. Like, I did my job. She found her place. I played my part in her salvation, and I was ready to move on.
You're like, okay, no more of this.
And then my mom had direction
Oh no.
that there was this other girl that I should be looking at, and then I mean, like, oh fuck. Okay, I'll pray about it. And
Did
then
you not like the
I had a
girl?
dream. I didn't want
Oh yeah.
to marry.
You don't want to get married.
I was like, well, okay, we'll do it. And so I do have a dream about her as well, and I was just like, damn it. And it wasn't like sex dream, it was just like a conversation dream.
Were you praying and fasting? to
Yeah.
get it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The longest I could go without water was a day, I discovered, because after a day, my joints started hurting really
Oh.
bad. Like,
Okay.
so I couldn't finish. I actually don't think I ever did the full 3-day fast. I had Kollene do the last day for me and pray for me because I
Aw.
was like, Kollene, can you help me? I can't do it. It's too hard.
Yeah. And this was to help you get your direction.
I was like, I can't even walk. My joints hurt. This is like on the
It's gonna
second
work.
day. Like, yeah, I'm like, she's like, I'll do the last day for you. And so she did the last day for me. But yeah, I was praying and fasting to find the choice or what God wanted me to do. This girl's parents were interesting though, because her mom was Mormon and her dad was in the order.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
So I tried to go, like, I went forward the way we always go forward, is like, I'm an option, like, maybe not the option. And she's just like, you're from a cult, leave me alone.
You're
And
like,
I was
whoa.
just like, all right.
Did you think that you were from a cult at that time or no?
I was like, what's the difference? You're Mormon.
So she turns you down, and then you try again?
No, well, I was told, my dad comes over and he's like, I guess he talked to her dad and it's like, you should go on a date with her. And I'm like, dates are not order standards.
Yeah. Why are you telling me to break order
I
standards?
won't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. That's not order standards. So I wouldn't go on a date with her. I was like, I'll go to her church with her.
Yeah.
Like, so I tried to go to church with her, and then there was like so many Mormon buildings, and I was lost, and I didn't know where the freaking singles class was, and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, this is direction that she's not the one.
Right. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, I tried. She
Yeah.
doesn't want me to. She would have told me what building it was if she wanted to see me.
Right. So it's
So,
like you're
like-
trying for someone that you kind of already know. She doesn't
She
really.
doesn't want any part of it. She literally told me, go away. You're from a cult.
Yeah. Jeez. But then you keep trying, right? Because you said you
Because
had.
my dad told me to.
Oh, okay. So the first one was your dream. The second one was your mom had a dream.
No, first one was my mom, then me, then Daniel talked to her dad or something.
Oh, okay. And there was 5 total girls that you went forward on.
Yes.
Um,
So
You never got to the phase of engagement.
No, that first one was the closest I ever got, and it was so close that she's like, it's basically yes if Paul says yes.
Wow.
And
so
I was
she
just
did want
like-
to marry you.
Oh God, this is like legit. Well, and then I like told her, I was like, if yes, then 6 months, okay? Deal?
Please.
But it's because I need money, right? That's why.
Yeah.
For the
But
wedding.
really, you weren't prepared, or you just
I'm
didn't
like-
really want it.
I mean, I'm gay. What are we gonna say?
Yeah, you're just like trying to prolong it, but you're trying to be a good order person.
I
so you're
wanted
trying
to be good.
But it's like you were going into these meetings being like, I'm a choice, but probably the wrong one.
Right.
Please don't pick me.
I'm just doing whatever, but I'm a choice for you if that's what God wants you to do. But it's always your choice.
Yeah, I've heard some people, like I had half brothers where they were like, I didn't want to go forward on them, but I knew I had to be a choice for them. Like they had someone else that they wanted to marry.
Oh, Daniel never wanted to be with her.
Your mom?
Yeah.
He never wanted to marry your mom?
No, he did that because his dad told him to.
Oh my gosh.
And he never liked her. He never treated her good.
This all makes so much sense now. Because I was like, why would he treat his wife so bad? But that makes sense because he never really wanted. He was engaged to two people at the same time when he was engaged to your mom, right? He was engaged to your mom and
Stephanie, and
Heidi.
Andrea's mom.
Yeah. Yeah, Jessica and Andrea's mom was engaged to your guys' mom at the same time. So your mom went to their wedding while she was engaged to him.
Yep.
That is so weird to me. How did you know that he didn't want to marry her?
He told us.
They talk about that?
Told us.
He even told my grandpa. He told my grandpa.
What's the point of him telling him that?
Do you know the amount of pleasure he gets from abuse? Even just like psychological abuse. Daniel is a scary guy.
Yeah,
And that's why he's not in my life anymore.
Yeah. He doesn't get to be. So then there was like two more, but like the one that was the closest to getting married was that last one. So the process for you, it's so weird, the process for a man versus a woman. So for me, obviously, I'm not like, yeah, I could pray all I want to get direction, but I'm not the one going forward, right? I'm the girl in the situation. So I would just have to wait and hope that my choice that I want to marry is going to come forward on me. And for me, because my dad wanted me to, he had his own intentions. He wanted me to marry my cousin. He had someone specific he wanted me to marry. So the ones that I wanted, and even the ones that I would have rathered over this cousin, he wouldn't even let them talk to me. I didn't even know they were a choice because he wanted me to marry this one, specific one. But for you, it's like, I guess you just have to, for a lot of men, probably have to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, so it's interesting because they tell the man that it's a choice and it's a girl's choice. But I actually later, like one of the skeletons in the closet that helped me leave is this girl, like, she comes in for a snack, but I'm also catering for a secret wedding during like the week. And so she's like, it's so disgusting that this guy, this 43-year-old is marrying this 16-year-old girl. And I was like, well, it's girl's choice, so what are you gonna do? Like, she picked it, I guess, so whatever.
Yeah.
And then this girl, she's like, it's daddy's choice in my family. And I'm like, what do you mean it's daddy's choice? So if I went to your dad and said, like, presented myself as a choice, he could just tell me it's gonna work out another way, and the girl wouldn't even know about it. And she's like, yeah, you should try it. And I was like, I did, with her dad. Not her, but like, I was like, wow, this is eye-opening.
Yeah, that it's really, and it really is family to family too. But yeah, definitely, I think a lot of families were like the dad would just not even let some of them talk to the daughter because they wanted them to marry someone specific.
Yeah.
So I thought that not very many people wanted me. I was like, why did Cami get so many more choices? But I found out later, my half-brother told me, he was like, my friends went forward on you. Like, I don't know why dad didn't let them talk to you. It was because he wanted me to marry this specific one.
Like, this girl that I'm talking about that I couldn't go forward on because the dad said no, I know she had a crush on me. She stole my phone.
Oh, and that's flirting in the order.
She stole my phone to see if I had a crush on anyone else or her or whatever. And by process of elimination, we figured out who did it.
Wow.
Years later, and she's just still waiting. Like, her friend, because her friend got married and her husband told her she needed to repent for that time that they stole my phone. And they ended up breaking it because they just didn't want to get caught.
Oh my gosh.
So so she had to replace my phone, which was like, I was like, oh, you're good. Like, you don't have to. She's like, no, I have to replace it because my husband told me I need to make that right.
Yeah.
And she kind of told me what happened. And then I was like, well, there's only one other person it could be. And she's like, I was like, well, I don't think there's anyone in here in the order for me. This is, at this point, I'm like, basically, this is like right before I start dating. And I start dating other people because this girl tells me, it's like, not in my family.
Yeah.
Wait, you said husband. It was her husband
Told
said
her she had to make it right.
Mm-hmm. So it must have been a while.
So
ago.
it was
after
her
she was
friend.
married.
Yes, and there was only one of that group of friends that wasn't married. So I knew who it was, and I was like, well, she's clearly had direction. She stole my phone. I didn't have direction. I'm giving up on the order. I might as well give it one last shot.
Yeah.
So I was like, because this girl's like, no, there's someone out there for you. I know there is, because, I mean, we stole your phone. Like,
Oh, so was she trying to get you to go forward on her?
in a way.
Wow.
But I think, no, honestly, she was just doing what her husband said, which was make it right. But in the conversation, I was like, I don't really know if there's anyone here for me anyway. So
Yeah.
you don't even have to worry about making it right. And she's like, first of all, I have to make it right. And second of all, there is someone for you. There's, and I'm like, okay, process of elimination. One girl in that friend group is not married.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah.
And she always stared at me. So I was like, maybe it's her.
Why are you staring at me? So did you go forward?
I tried. And then we got to her dad, and he said no. Well, he said, it looks like it'll work out another way. And she ends up marrying one of Paul's boys that look suspiciously familiar, like, lot like me.
Interesting. She had a type. Wow. I'm learning a lot.
I know, it was, like, eye-opening for me, too. I was like...
Like, there is no such thing as direction, then, because the dad's just deciding, he's, like, pairing his kids off to whoever he wants.
Well, first of all, they're telling me to be a choice and present myself as a choice and give this girl, like, her freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because my bloodline isn't the Kingston enough bloodline. And so the other Kingstons that go forward, they don't do it the same way. I got told something completely different. These other guys be like, I'm your number one choice. You are supposed to marry me.
They definitely manipulate the girls, and of course they're really young too, a lot of them. And do you feel like, I've talked about this before with other people, it's kind of like trafficking. Like Paul will trade some of his, and you'll notice him getting some from that family. It's like they're switching.
I mean, I know for a fact that there was guys that worked at my dad's farm for 2 summers for free. Well, not for free. It wasn't for free. It was for a wife.
Well, so they knew that in turn working for him, he would award them with a wife.
Right, and I heard some of these, my sisters, half-sisters, say, I was only worked 2 summers? Like, that's...
So it's a known thing. That's sad. And I noticed this too growing up in the order. So the family has so much money. They have all of this, like, they have lane. They own the pawn shops. And I wondered why they had so much access to the money. This
have
family,
beautiful women.
Right. They have so much access to the money. They can build new homes. Yet your family's dumpster diving, right? And you're in the same group. But then I noticed every single one of the daughters married one of Paul's sons. I was like, interesting.
That does make a lot of sense now. They're all trafficked. Sad.
Trafficked. But see, no one talked about it. I never heard someone talking about it like that. Like, I was only worth 2 summers. I've never heard that. It was never talked about. Like, there was always direction, right? There was no...
I mean, this is us talking after we leave, too, though. Like, when it's all in perspective.
Oh, okay. So they learned after they left and they started talking about it?
Well, they knew at the time, but it didn't, like, click.
I thought you were saying they talked about it in the church. Like, I was only worth... Like, because in the church talking like that, then they would have not had to have believed in direction.
There's a couple more forward stories. There was one... I just want to go forward on these stories.
I want to hear them, yeah. So there's 2 more?
There's 2 more.
Okay.
The other one, so one girl, I try to go forward, and my dad's like, what makes you think you're good enough for her? And I'm like, why wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that part. Like, why wouldn't I be? I'm just doing what God told me to do. I don't want to do it. Just like...
Yeah.
And then I even talked to this girl that one of Paul's wives, I worked with her, and I told her about this girl, and she flat out told me, she's like, oh, you won't marry her. They tend to join our family. She's too pretty. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then the whole, like, why am I not good enough? And then not even like, so she gets married to one of Paul's or whatever. And then suddenly my dad gets this idea that this really not sought after woman that's slightly overweight is not married because I didn't marry her. And I'm the reason that she's not married yet.
And that's your
And I'm like,
fault.
I'm so confused. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't good enough for some other bitch. And now I'm supposed to be married to this one. And it's my fault that she's like 18 and not married.
Make up your mind.
I don't understand your logic here. But then later, I find out some things about a girl can only marry up in the Kingston line. And I was only like half Kingston. So you're like like half Kingston too?
Well, like, I always thought that I was on the same level as your guys' family, but I think it's because your mom's family comes from a bloodline that your mom comes from is like less worthy, I guess. And my mom technically is LaDonna's, related to LaDonna.
So you guys was treated a little better.
I mean, I don't think the women were. I think all women in the order are treated like trash.
Yeah.
Definitely, they were trying to marry me up into either one of Paul's kids or one of Jesse's. One of the.
So the
seven
rules
brothers.
still applied. So what I heard was that a girl can only marry up in the bloodline, and a guy can only marry down in the bloodline. So for me to be only half Kingston, and like literally the lowest you could be of Kingston is half Kingston, right?
Yeah.
Or is there less?
Or non-Kingston. So he had a hard time getting married because he didn't have a drop of Kingston blood in him. So that's why he was like, 20-something and not married.
Yeah, but we didn't know that. They never told us that. They never told him that.
They never told me that either, but I figured it out when, even being a 16-year-old girl, I was like, interesting how, and I brought this up to my dad, I was like, Dad, interesting how you will never see a Kingston woman married to a non-Kingston man. And he was like...
You noticed it?
I told him that. Because I looked into it, because I wanted to marry one that wasn't Kingston. And I was like, why is it so hard? And so I figured out, I'm looking around. No Kingston woman was married to a non-Kingston. It was just forbidden. So I told him that before we did meditations, and he was like, that's not true. And I was like, name one. And then it was time to do meditation. So we sat down for 5 minutes, and he lifted his head up afterwards, and he named, all he said was one, was
Okay.
That's all he could come up with in the 5 minutes.
But you know why they did, right?
She fought to marry him.
Well, she was leaving or marrying him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how they got her to stay.
And that's what I told him. I was like, okay, you in that 5 minutes of you meditating, you came up with the one couple that you could think of, and she fought so hard to be with him. Can you come up with anyone else?
And you basically, I can, but they're all that situation.
Right, exactly.
Every single one.
But I was shocked that I still wonder if he believes the same thing and he was just trying to convince me, or if he was like, she's right. Because he was like trying to think his way out.
I think he knew.
You think so?
Like, I don't think it's secret in the
It was pretty
numbers
obvious.
Men. Yeah, I think it was only secret for people like me. And I didn't notice at first because I was like, well, I don't want to marry my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But you're sitting here probably going forward on people that are more Kingston than you, right?
Less.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, like the only non-Kingston in the order.
Really? Thank goodness you didn't get married there. Cause, okay, if you did, like, let's say one of them said yes to you and you got married and had kids, do you think you would have what do you think would have happened?
God, I don't know. You can't hide you have to be true to yourself. It comes out one way or another.
Yeah. And there's been stories of people who were closeted, got married, had kids, and then ended up being like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Right? I feel like that's probably what would have happened. Right?
Probably. Or she would be very miserable and I'd be very miserable and we'd just be very miserable.
Together forever. Misery forever. So that was all 5?
No, there was one other one, but it doesn't matter.
Is this the last one that is the most recent?
No, it was just, I think maybe that was all 5 because I did the last, I don't really remember.
I thought we did 2.
We did do 5. Yeah, because
so
the
many.
one, it was just interesting that how I wasn't good enough and then the other I was. So yeah, we did do all 5.
Yeah.
And it was so weird that I should have married her because she's like 20 and now she's 20 and not married and it's your fault.
And it's your responsibility to make her married. This is okay, I want to talk about this now a little bit because this similar thing happened to my dad, which is why he married the 3rd wife.
Right.
Because the 3rd wife in our family actually was like an old maid for an order member because she was like 20 and not married. So the men in the group had a meeting and were like, we need to get this girl married because she could potentially be bringing us more members by having kids.
Every year she's not married is another kid or another soul we just missed out on.
Exactly. So that's what the meeting was about. So they're like, everyone here, pray to make sure and see if you could be her choice and be the one that could have direction.
Do you know what would be interesting if that meeting was just pulling straws?
Like who is gonna marry her? And everyone's like, please, God, no.
Oh no, here we go. You got it.
My mom was so mad that he married his half sister, but he told her that he, after that meeting, because she's like, that wasn't direction. You just had a meeting, and then all of a sudden you had a dream. Like they planned that so that you would have to take the fall. And he's like, no, I had direction, and I'm standing by that. She didn't want to.
They drew straws, I swear.
Yeah, it's like whoever can run to the wall fastest doesn't have to marry. Just kidding. And that's why I got to hear because like how you were saying you're pretty close with your mom. My mom would like, who is my mom's friends? You know,
your kids. That is why we're so close with our mothers. That's why they have kids too, though, is because it's the only sense. I think it's the only sense of control they have in their life.
The women.
Yeah, and sometimes that could be a double-edged sword because they can get a little controlling with their children. But
that's the only way they can feel like they have any control over their life because they are working for the order. They are literally opening their legs for their husband whenever he comes home, doing everything for them. Like when do they get to feel like they have any control or any say? Is when
any love. Their love comes from their children.
And who can they take out their frustration because the partner's not going to listen to it.
And my mom was not friends with the sister wives. Like, we pretended the third wife didn't exist.
Yeah, they had family portraits with the two wives,
without
the first two wives and all their kids. And I remember, because I was married to the brother at the time, and I was like, where's she and her two kids? Where's she and her two kids?
Yeah, where's the third wife?
It's so weird having a family picture and he's missing a wife.
But I didn't even know that she was married to him until he had two kids. She was my friend at the time. We were at Willoughby, and she was like, that's your brother, and points to my half brother, and I was like, that is not my brother. And then she like starts laughing, and I look and see that my dad's like being lovey-dovey with his mom. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I think part of it was because they were so closely related that they were like
I think
afraid.
that's why, though, because it was literally siblings.
Yeah, well, and same dad. They have the same dad.
She was our neighbor at the time. And when your dad would come over, he would come and park on
our side,
on our side of the house, where it didn't look like he was at her house.
It was weird.
So I think it was the incest part that they were trying to hide it, and then also like it made it easier for my mom to just do this, like, oh no, you're incest, like, you know, you pretend that you're not married to him, because my mom did not want to agree that they were married. And then she wasn't friends with the first wife because the first wife was her sister, and they quarreled a lot. So I don't know how FLDS had all the wives living together. I did not know how they did that.
That's always what I said. I was like, why would you put the wives in the same house? They're going to kill each other.
Yeah. But then when I talk to FLDS, they're like, oh, we love mother. And like they would call all the mothers mother. I'm like, oh no. No.
No, you split them up. Imagine? The other reason you split them up is because then you don't have to be a great husband. Because
that's true.
You're just like, you're being a bitch. I'm going over here. Get back on your knees and be a wonderful wife, and I'll show up again.
Yeah. I guess that's maybe that in that case, FLDS did better. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so interesting. How did we get on this topic?
We're talking about marriages. Yeah. I don't know.
So much. So you knew, though, that you didn't want to marry your cousin.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, none of us did. We all knew that. Even you knew that. Like, we all knew.
I didn't want
We all thought that wasn't a thing anymore. Everyone there probably to this day thinks it's not a thing anymore. But it happens still.
Oh, yeah, all the time. And how do you get married in the order of not marrying your cousin? Like, everyone's marrying each other. I don't understand.
Yeah. When I was married, I was engaged to your brother and telling my siblings, my sisters actually especially, but telling my siblings, I don't want any of you guys to marry someone who's closer related than me and my, at the time, fiance.
Like second cousin.
It was weird that.
Of course, I thought it was weird. I didn't like it, but I just kept telling myself, it's more like second cousins because it's only his dad is only half brother. Yeah.
So it's like half first cousins.
Yeah.
The crazy things you tell yourself to.
So it's like
to be okay with marrying your cousin.
Exactly.
So it's like 3/4 of a cousin.
If that.
Well, it turns out he's even more related to me than I realized.
Well, for an order wedding, it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're watching your siblings get married to their siblings. Like your
Exactly.
sibling marrying other siblings. So you're like, oh, thank God I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, and cousins marrying each other when their parents are already siblings.
But yeah, we got a lot of good information. Did you want anything else?
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.